Let us be about that. I motion that we officially begin the May 27th, 2025 IDEAS Advisory Council meeting.
So this is Michelle. I'm going to second that motion.
Great. All right. I have started recording, so everybody just keep that in mind.
Looks like we're calling the session at 1:04. Go ahead and start introductions. Is that works okay?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela Hennig. My pronouns are she, her. Super excited to have folks in person today. And for those of you who have joined us online, thank you so much for being here. I am the program manager for the IDDEAS program, and we are here at Denver Human Services Castro Building for our first in-person meeting since before COVID.
Hey.
And we're just been joined by our super all-star colleagues, Lynn and Tom, who are working on a network outage. Of course, that happened an hour before this meeting. So Lynn, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, Lynn Putner, she, her pronouns. I'm part of one of the IDEAS program administrators. We are representing DHS shirts on today. We're running in late, we're working on tech problem solving. And I'm gonna be tech support during our meeting, as well as helping navigate the folks who are online. So that's kind of the role that you'll see me in.
Awesome. Give it up for Lynn. So much going on. So real quick, can we just do a sound check? Folks online, can you hear us?
They won't be able to say anything.
And they won't be able to say anything. Can they put something in the chat and say?
I'm working on promoting,
They're raising, so yes, they're raising.
yes.
Molly?
If you are a council member, I am working on going from promoting you into being a panelist. Just
And then,
see that thing pop up, please go ahead and click on it and get you taken care of.
and for those of us in person, we might be used, hey Molly, thanks for turning the camera on. For those of us in person, we may be used to muting and unmuting ourselves, but we are all sharing the same microphone right now. So our popcorn bags and our feet shuffling, that's just all. And so I wanted to check in online and then just as well be mindful if you're in person that we're all sharing the same microphone. Am I right? We don't have a way to isolate.
We don't.
Yeah, okay. We're fortunate the thing is on.
But if you could do a song sound test for us, Brian.
A song time.
A song sound test.
I feel pretty, so pretty.
And pretty and witty as that.
Yes.
Very
Thank you, Tom.
nice.
Backup sounds will be vocalized by a variety of members and visitors.
Corey, we'll pass over you since it looks like you're busy and you
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
I'm Whitney Middleton. I'm an administrator here in the Child Welfare and Adult Protective Services Division of Denver Human Services, and I help support the IDEAS program. Happy to be here in person with all of you. I've been able to come to a few of the meetings virtually, not all of them, but happy that I was able to reach this.
Thank you, Whitney. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Mulholland. My pronouns are she, her. And I work for the IDEAS program as a program administrator. So great to be interested and excited to be here.
Thanks, Jordan.
Tom Gamache, DHS internal auditor, but don't let that title scare you. I'm the IDEAS financial advisor behind the scenes. Don't hardly ever see me, and that's okay. You don't want to see me in person. No, I'm kidding. That's just the auditor joke. So yeah, happy to be here, and I see all you on camera, so it's really good to see you in person.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Brian was as tall as he is. I mean, usually just see, chest letters high, so, yeah.
Even I was surprised when I woke up. What are we doing way up here? I said it myself.
Okay, hard to follow that. I'm Alexa Gagne. I'm an IDEAS council member.
Sorry. Yes, happy to be here, so happy to see everyone in person. See how tall Brian is.
I'm Brian B. I'm a voting member and a 2025 co-chair in IDEAS Advisory Council. I'm an autistic artist advocate and I work over at JFK Partners at the School of Medicine, University of Colorado.
I'm just Mel Miles and I'm.
Not so
Chris, would you like to say
Chris,
hello?
you gonna introduce yourself? Stop me for a second. Your name is this? Where's your introduction? You've been wearing that a long time today.
Yes.
Yes. Here, want to use this to introduce yourself?
Hi. Tree. B.
What happened? That was bizarre. Did you know he was gonna do that?
They're just high treat to be here.
To be here.
With a
They're just high treat to be here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're just high treat to be here today.
Treat to be here today.
Yeah.
Patton. I'm Ann Patton, Chris's mom, and it's a treat for me to be here today too. Christopher, I would say you're pretty excited to be here in person. I follow you guys along a lot. And used to be a representative on the Rocky Mountain Human Services Village Committee. So glad to be here, see what's going on. Keep my fingers on the pulse.
Welcome, Chris and team.
Thank you.
So I'm Michelle Dumais. I say it every time, my favorite pronouns are me and I. I'm honored to be a co-chair with Brian, and it's amazing to be in the space with everyone. It's nice to see everyone online, but it's amazing to be here and so much good energy and happy to be here. So take it away, Jessica.
I'm Jessica Rifle, and I'm a voting member of the council, and I'm a member of the IDD community, so lived experience.
Woo, woo, there's the people in person.
Corey, go back to Corey.
We can move on.
Okay.
There. Few minutes, she can't see it, she's next to them.
Hi, can I go next?
Yes.
Hi, this is Molly Mason. I use she, her pronouns, but also I love I, me pronouns as well, Michelle. I am a white woman. I have brown hair and I'm wearing a gray t-shirt today. And I am honored to be a member of the IDEAS Advisory Council and also the liaison for the Rocky Mountain Human Services, CAC as well. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry I couldn't be in person, but I'm glad that it's hybrid so I could still attend.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Molly. We have one other DHS staff person here today. Richard, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Richard Moore, Assistant City Attorney Senior. And your usual representative from our office, Jordan Humphreys, is on, I am sure, a very deserved vacation, so I'm covering for him today. I think I was with you, Corey, was that about a year ago? I covered for Jordan.
Probably, it could even be more, but it was sometime during 2024, I think.
Yeah. And I'm sure my contribution was absolutely sterling, so.
Welcome back.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you all. Are we ready to screen share?
Yes, yep, hi, everyone. I am Corey Boyle. I didn't introduce myself earlier because I was trying to get into the meeting and I had realized I had not invited myself to the meeting. And so I had to find a way in. But here I am now, and I will be running the slides today. I currently serve as the DHS staff secretary for the IDEAS Advisory Council. However, today will be my last day, and Michaela Hennig will be the staff secretary going forward. So she's going to do a lot of the facilitation today, but I am here, and then folks will just need to let me know when I need to move along the slides.
So boo and yay.
Yeah. And
Well,
Michaela,
hold your yays, we'll see how it goes.
Michaela, did you start us off? You started us off with introductions of yourself, right?
Yes, yes, we did.
Right on.
Thank you. All right.
Does that look great? Okay, we're sharing subtitles.
All
May
right.
27th, Ideas Advisory Council, IAC, public meeting.
I think we can. So we, this slide that we're looking at right now is a list of our agenda items. We did our welcome and meeting overview, was scheduled to 1:15, which is the time it is right now. So surprisingly, we're doing pretty good on time. Well done, everyone. Then we'll go on to our updates. We'll have our breathing and uncertainty. We'll talk about meeting scheduling a little bit. Jordan Mulholland is going to give us an update on our housing recommendations. We'll take a quick break, and then we are happy to announce some of the winners of our Voices mini grants and tell them a little bit about the programs. I do not believe we have any public comment today, unless any of members, we don't have anyone signed up, so we'll be able to skip that today. And then we'll talk a little bit about the next meeting.
Which is not in March, so sorry about that.
So this slide lists our mission and vision. For those of you who are joining us from the public, thank you so much. If it's your first time here, IDEAS partners with the community to manage local taxpayer dollars dedicated for Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities and developmental delay. Our vision is to make Denver an inclusive community where people with IDD feel welcome, valued, and empowered to live the lives they envision for themselves. Our advisory council is comprised of these amazing Denver residents with lived experience with IDD. We meet monthly to discuss lots of topics relevant to Denver's residents with IDD. And using this community feedback, individual knowledge, expert presentations, the council provides recommendations to Denver Human Services about the best way to use these funds. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
In person.
Perfect. Molly, Richard, you can hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you great.
Okay.
Perfect.
I know you can't see me. I'm gonna try and hop away from my computer real quick so I can be visible to everyone joining us remotely. I might have to hop back over there. We'll see how it goes. Okay, there we go. As always, this group is fantastic. Please be respectful of everyone attending. For those of you joining us online, please stay muted, virtually raise your hand, then unmute and introduce yourself while speaking. As Brian noticed, everyone in this room physically, we're all sharing the same microphone. Let's go ahead and try and stick with raising hands even here in person so that we're not inadvertently jumping the line for those of us who are joining remotely. Please, I know we have a lot of really great things to share and we all enjoy each other's company. So let's help each other stay on task. So hopefully we can finish on time. And for those of you here today that are joining us for Corey's after party, we can get up there and have some treats. Remember that this meeting is public and recorded. For those of you joining us virtually, chats are also posted publicly. So please don't put anything in the chat that you would want to have shared online. Also for those of you, for all of us, let's remember to be safe in all of the ways. That means we've got some background noise here. It sounds like they're moving some furniture next door. For those of you who are joining virtually, if you do need to drive during the meeting, please do so as safely as you can. Don't hesitate to sign off the meeting. And at
Minimum, please mute yourself and put yourself off of video so that you can pay attention to the road. Please respect and honor the Denver Code of Ethics. If you are concerned there may be a conflict of interest with one of the topics that we're discussing, please let us know so that you can recuse yourself from the meeting and that conversation. We'll bring you back in as soon as we wrap that up. No II or third-party apps or accounts will be allowed unless express permission is given as accessibility. And most importantly, please remember to have fun, share your thoughts and ideas, and advocate for the community. Okay, so we did that, and then I will hand it over to our amazing facilitators to do the meeting minutes.
Cool. Before we do that, I think I'd like to do an opportunity to, what's it called? To appoint a temporary co-chair for today. Is that still the case with your schedule?
Yes.
Do you want to explain that, Nee?
So this is Michelle, and I have to leave. And so we have in our bylaws, is that the correct term? And our bylaws, it allows for a temporary co-chair in such a situation so that we can maintain and continue to do our business. So I'm going to be leaving in 40 minutes-ish. And so in order to keep the meeting going, we'd like to take the opportunity to appoint a temporary co-chair.
Wonderful. So if anyone would like that opportunity, that would be more than welcome. Corey and I did review the bylaws again prior to this meeting. We can still continue to hold the meeting with Brian, with you serving as the single chair in case folks aren't feeling it today. But yes, we would love to give folks the opportunity to join Brian after Michelle leaves.
Yeah, so just a quick tech request from Corey. Can you click on the chat and then leave that window open? So
I
we
think that
can-
would be me.
Oh, is that you?
That's
So
it.
you have to do it there.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that'll just show us in the room access to what some people online owe. I forget what that Zoom option is, but there's a way you can put it
You can,
off to the side, but we'll play with that. All right, so with this co-chair temporary opportunity, if you think that in a year, when I term out as a co-chair, that you might consider yourself to come forward, then this is a great chance to try it out. I don't think there's a lot that you have to do today as the co-chair. Michelle and I tend to trade places. 1 month she's more forward and 1 month I'm more forward. This is the month that I'm more forward. But if somebody else wanted to try out your issues in leadership, you could speak some more as well if you want, or just be a background co-chair elected temporarily for today. So leaders, voting members, community, is there someone who would like to be today's interim co-chair with me? Michelle has to exit and take her loveliness elsewhere to bless some other souls. Any brave person or unbrave, I will welcome the unbrave as well. Those-
Yay, I'm clapping my hands and Jessica has said that she would like to today be our co-chair.
Oh, lovely.
So is it me to vote? Is that a thing?
So the bylaws do state that the co-chair would be elected, which implies a vote. And we should do that so that to ensure kind of that democratic process
Yes.
of all council members agreeing to it. Let me ask you this, though, we can either hold that vote now and she can start the co-chair responsibilities now, or we can wait for you to depart and then she can assume them that. It really
I'd
doesn't
like
matter.
to take a minute.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
Usually, while these folks deliberate, would you care to
Okay.
introduce yourself? Yeah, we've got some online and then some of course.
Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kisley Blue. I'm the program manager at Rocky Mountain Human Services in the Mill Levy Department. And I am here in person wearing a pink shirt and I'm very happy to be here.
Welcome in.
Thanks for joining.
Welcome in. Good to have you.
So, to follow along with what I'm supposed to do, with great counsel. Jessica and I would like that, we're going to nominate that she be the co-chair as I'm exiting. She said she'd like to just hang and chill out. So does that mean I can nominate, so following Robert's rules, she needs to be nominated?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
well, it would be good if somebody motioned to elect a temporary co-chair, and then somebody seconded that motion, and then we can vote it. And we can help guide a hybrid vote.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
This is Michelle. I'd like to motion that we have a vote for a temporary co-chair. Is that what you wanted me to say? Perfect. So if I could have a second to that motion.
This is Alexa, I second that.
All right, so
No.
you have successfully motioned to elect an interim co-chair. What I would ask in this setting is that those who want to vote yes, to raise your hand when I ask, and those who are joining us virtually who would like to vote, please put your vote in the chat, and then just give us a second to kind of count the yeses and count our chat. And then if we need to go to no votes, we will go, but we'll take that info, we'll let people know if it passed. So at this time, we will vote to elect Jessica as interim co-chair as motioned. Again, if you're joining virtually, please put your yes or no votes into the chat. And yes votes now will raise their hands. Ooh.
I'm noting Molly has voted yes in the chat.
Great.
Can she vote?
She can vote for herself, yes. That is. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 votes in person, 1 vote in the chat with 5 total yes votes.
And one abstention.
And 1
she said.
abstention. Yeah, not a no vote, good. So Jessica, you are interim co-chair, starting at 2 as we discussed. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. That was cool, that was cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you, thank you. Now, would you, okay, so now is our chance to review the April meeting minutes and then have a chance to vote or to amend those meeting minutes.
Yep.
So this should be in a previous email that Corey sent out. Look at the meeting minutes. We'll take a moment to review that, those of us that have access to do so. Jessica, when you step in as co-chair, would you like to be more front or more background? Background. Right. Please chime in, maybe if you have voice either as co-chair or as.
Yes, here we go.
All right, I'll ask if there are any revisions. Comments or revisions, Alexa?
So I'm reading it wrong. At the top, it says 9/24/24 date.
So the date needs
I
revised.
think I'm looking at the right sheet. Because this would be the summary. April. Let's see.
Let's say, would you mind if I looked at it? I can't scroll up a bit of what I've got on my computer.
This was the date of this document.
Oh, yeah, that makes.
It's
Our
probably
bad.
like one of those
That's just-
things
yep.
that, I mean.
No, that's a good thing to update.
Well, I was like, is this an old one or?
No, that's the correct one. So revision noted, we will need to change the update after the summary page. The date on the summary page is correct.
Yeah, that
not
was
the
like
one
the
after.
first page.
Okay.
It's good to have someone in marketing at our.
Any other
It's like, sorry.
revisions? Any other revisions? Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes with the revision of the date change that Alexa pointed out.
I do have a question.
Please.
So I thought that and I could be getting meetings mixed up, but didn't Stephanie come in and then leave early? So technically, isn't she present?
Visitor.
What does it say on the note? Again, I can't
It said-
scroll
It
on.
said that she was absent.
Okay, I will double check that.
Okay.
So second revision, if needed, after checking, is Stephanie Gross's attendance. I have documents.
No, she's not.
I just can't remember off the top of my head, right? And just can't.
Yeah, I also have that same recollection that she was there for a portion of it.
Yeah.
Good-
No worries,
good
they're all
catch,
recorded,
Michelle.
so we'll just gonna go back and check.
All right, any other revisions? Okay. Motion to approve the minutes with date change and looking into Stephanie's attendance.
Approved,
You
or a second time.
put it, you started.
So I motion to approve the minutes
There you
from
go.
April with the changes.
Anyone that seconds?
This is Jessica, my second.
All right. So now voting members get to say yes, no, or abstain. We've been using the chat for that. Corey, how would you like to do that in person?
We'll do it just like we did last time, so yes votes will raise their hand currently. And then if needed, well, it looks like it passes. And I'll explain this. So we have 1 yes vote in the chat with 4 yes votes total, 3 in the room. What? Oh, okay, sorry.
What was it, yes vote for?
Approving the meeting minutes of last week.
I see Molly, I'll come back to
You
that.
need to raise your hand.
Okay.
Hi, total?
Yes. Brian, did you?
I did not.
Okay, good.
So I'll go on abstain.
Yeah, so 5 total then. So 5 yes votes will approve the meeting minutes from April with revisions as discussed. I will go back and check on attendance and I will update the dates. Just to let, and this is Corey talking, sorry. Just to let everybody know, on our votes, for those of us in person, if there are not enough yeses by hand, just generally, then we'll go to no votes, and then you can vote no, then we'll go to abstain, then you can vote to abstain. So you will always have the opportunity to vote any of those 3 ways. We'll just do it in sequence, and for fluidity, if the yes votes have it, we just move on.
Okay.
So just, and all of that means is a majority with 1, 2, 3, 6 attending members, that's 4. So, yeah, and if what I should say too is if anybody needs to vote a different way, it does not need to be hand raised. So any other affirmative can be anything else, like the screen, the device or anything else. So just let me know or pause me if I'm going too fast.
Cool. Oh, okay, thank you,
I'll take
Molly.
care of,
Lynn will work on that.
so relaying that Molly's, does not have the option to change her chat from the default host and panelist to everyone, so I will serve as kind of the translator for that and copy Molly's. I'll take care of it, Corey, you got everything sorted out. Corey and I are, we're all joking, I will take care of, copying Molly's, comments into the everyone,
Thank you.
and then Corey, you can do other stuff,
Okay.
all right.
All right, on to council member updates. This is our chance to share what's going on and to hear. The slide says council members will share updates from around the community that are relevant to council business and Denver residents with intellectual developmental disability. Updates may be anything from laws, policies, programs, events, and other items that pertain to our community. Please keep updates brief and succinct for the benefit of our community and Denver and IDD. Let's avoid advertising an individual interest. I believe this is when we, go ahead, Jessica.
This is Jessica, and, I don't know if the, community first choice waiver or program, whatever it's called, has been talked about here before, but that, goes into effect for anybody on waivers that start on or after July 1st. So
Yes,
the personal care, homemaker, health maintenance activity and personal emergency like, button thing goes on that program.
Thank
And
you.
you still have the waiver as with the other waiver that you're on as well.
Thank you.
yes. So if you have SLS services, you get now through Community First Choice, you get to have those options as well. And our DD waiver community, this is Michelle, sorry. This is Michelle. Our DD waiver community members get to maintain those as those service access to those services as well.
Thank you, Jessica. Michelle. Other announcements?
Yes.
Events, Michelle?
This is Michelle. I have 3 other announcements. So today is the 27th, the 28th is tomorrow, and tomorrow there'll be a celebration on Capitol Hill because of HB 25-1017, which is the Olmstead Act, was passed, and so making Colorado more inclusive, right? So that's gonna be tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the west foyer of the Colorado State Capitol. Or as my other southern friends say, the west foyer. So yes, and then 2 other things. So in July, Denver Commission for Persons with Disabilities will be celebrating, we'll be holding the ADA celebration. I will try to get the date and time for that information as well to be put into our notes. And on the 28th of June, from 10 to noon, the Colorado Commission CCDC, what's the non-acronym for CCDC?
Colorado Cross Disability.
Thank you so much, thank you so much. We'll be having an advocacy 101 training, and you can go on their website, ccdc.org, to find out about the advocacy training. It is free, and it's a 2-hour virtual event, so if you'd like to get involved but you're feeling a little overwhelmed, the CCDC will be having training for advocacy. And so I also will put that, I'll give, I guess, Corey, send you that link or Lynn.
Send it to Michaela.
Michaela, sorry. Or somebody that will actually answer the email, yes, Michaela. And then finally, on the 25th of July, at 5:30, there are going to be the ADA Access Awards. And so it's a fundraiser and it's a party because it's the 35th anniversary of the passing of the ADA. And it's gonna be at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And they're gonna have some fabulous speakers. It is an event for which there's a ticket. And the ticket for adults, I think, is $50. For children, I think it's $30. But if you're in need of financial assistance, there's also a link on the site so that they want to make it as inclusive as possible for folk. And that also can be found at on the Colorado Cross Disability Coalition website. And I'm not involved in any of those, except I'm a commissioner, so, but I don't want it to be a plug. I was just saying that here's some great community things happening.
Thank you, Michelle. We're at community announcements. Any other announcements?
We have another council member who joined us.
Yeah.
We wanna,
Stephanie, would you like to take a moment to say hello? And
Sure.
welcome in?
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie Gross. I'm calling from my car stuck in traffic. I'm happy to be here to at least connect with you all virtually until I see you in about 15 minutes in person. I'm a voting council member. I have dark hair. It's been a minute since I've done this check-in, so I'm a middle-aged white female. And I am delighted to be part of this council and light workers in Denver. I am the executive director of Move Through Yoga. We bring adaptive yoga to individuals with intellectual, developmental, and physical disabilities in schools and in day programs. And we also train the care team and support members of those individuals.
Thank you, Stephanie. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll see you here in person in just a bit.
Yes, sir.
Maybe that space there. Yeah, we have options. We'll make space. Other community announcements.
I have one.
Kisley.
Tomorrow, the organization TACT, also known as Teaching the Autism Community Trades, is having a graduation. It's always a lot.
And to follow that, so TACT, which stands again for what?
Teaching the Autism Community Trades.
In addition to them having a graduation tomorrow, they were recent. Do you guys remember Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs?
Yes.
He's got a new show. It's called People You Should Know. And he just launched a feature of Danny Combs on that. I gotta get that link over to you, Michaela, and then you can send it. So TACT was featured in Denver, and the supportive IDD and autism and neurodiversity community was featured by Mike Rowe, who was here, and we got Danny crying, handing him $50,000 and then changing the number. I won't do the spoiler entirely, just wait. So it was a half-hour YouTube I watched over the weekend. I'll get you that link, Kayla.
thank you.
Gotta
I'll send
remember
it
that. Gotta remember that. All right. And Molly, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so just in the honor of graduation season, Project Search, Denver Public Schools Project Search, and there's also one with through Jefferson County Public Schools as well. But Project Search is a transition program for individuals with IDD. It is oftentimes typically their last year in public education, but this year from Denver Public Schools, it was at St. Joseph's Hospital. So students did an different internships at St. Joe's Hospital, and their graduation is this Thursday. So yeah, it's just exciting time of year for the graduates.
Hand pumps. I went to Project Search when they graduated the group when they were at Children's Hospital. It was like the second year it even happened here in the Denver metro area. It was awesome. Stephanie, I see your hand up. Do you have an announcement for us?
I do. So this is Stephanie calling again from the phone from the car. So I had a conversation. I recently joined the Women's Chamber of Commerce for Denver, and I'm having a conversation with their director of membership, and they're looking to expand their access and inclusion to women entrepreneurs who have IDD and or who are neurodiverse. I would love to get the council's, perspective on maybe some female entrepreneurs, movers and shakers who do present with IDD and autism. Is there a place that I can find that resource with any help of the council members?
I'd like to respond to that and then open it up. So there is a neurodiversity chamber of commerce. As best we know, there's one of those on the planet. It's here in Colorado. So check out CNDCC website, Colorado Neurodiversity Chamber of Commerce. There's some great people over
Okay.
there. Danny Combs being one of the ones on the board. So
I can include that in the follow-up notes to Stephanie, for the email, if that's helpful.
That would be super helpful. Thank you very much.
any other responses to Stephanie's request about neurodiverse entrepreneurs? We gotta get going.
Stephanie, I might have one person that I run into at local events that I may send you her business contact.
Thank you, Kisley. I think that was Kisley. Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And as people are going down that road, I'd just like to add in that not only support entrepreneurs that are neurodiverse or have IDD, but also support entrepreneurs who serve that population. They might be a mom, they might be an ally, they might be somehow else in our community. All right, in this council member update, go ahead, Corey.
Sorry to interject, but I'm going to insert myself here. This is Corey speaking. We are at 1:45, which means that we were like pretty heavily behind.
Yeah.
And so I might, at this time, call that the updates be completed and actually move to our 1:45 timed agenda, which is Jordan's presentation. And if we can somehow salvage time, which is an impossible task, but if we can do it, to come back to those agenda items that we have not yet had a chance to do. This way, it ensures that the presentation that has been planned does not lose anything, and things like idea scheduling is that's something we can talk about another time if we need to.
Okay.
Report out real quick. Just a couple minutes.
Sure, we can do that, yes. So then, all right, so with that request, what we can do is if Molly and Kisley, if you're able to give as quick as you can, TAC member report out, and then we will go to Jordan's presentation, and then I think we can maybe take a break. Does that sound good? Okay, and
Yes.
with permission of the chairs, this is your guys.
Yes.
Yes. And
This is Molly, and it's a very short one because I unfortunately missed it. I apologize. So I was confused about the different times, and so apologies. But Kisley might be able to help.
And actually, this is Kisley, everybody. Molly did not miss the meeting because the meeting was canceled. So,
Okay, there we go. See, craziness at the end of the school year. Yay.
All right.
Wonderful. Are you ready? Sorry to throw you into it.
Okay.
Thank you all for giving me the time. This is Jordan speaking. As I mentioned, I am on the IDDEAS team and I focus a lot on this housing work, so I appreciate your interest. I wanna talk about some of the updates we've been doing related to housing recommendations since 2021. And I just wanna remind folks that if you have any questions, of course, with the time that we have, you can ask them, and then I'm always available should you have more questions, we can meet over Zoom or email, anything like that. I wanna talk about this recommendation specifically. You'll see it on the screen back in 2021. It says advocate to the state on issues that are critical to Denver as they relate to housing. And sorry, this is a lot going on. Right here.
Yeah, sorry, for people online, you're missing Jordan is trying to present, and we're trying to address some tech support needs simultaneously, so, sorry, Jordan.
No apologies necessary.
All right.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Continue as if there was no circus.
Okay. And so this recommendation has been interesting because, as you know, we work for local government, so we can't exactly lobby when it comes to like legislative stuff. However, because of our influence being a local government body, we do have opportunities to engage with the state in certain ways that we can leverage what we're doing and have conversations with them. And so I wanted to speak to one particular initiative that was really regionally led, around accessing housing vouchers. A housing voucher is basically for folks who have low income and can't afford to pay their own rent entirely. The government has programs where they can step in and say, okay, you pay what you can afford, and then we'll write a check to your landlord directly every month. And these are programs, they're very like structured and written out. But you can get them, you know, at the federal level, at the state level, and now at the local level. But as we're seeing here in Colorado, the state has priorities to who can get those vouchers, and how they get them. So, one of the priority population, no, you're good, I'll let you know. One of the priority populations that, they're sort of reserving housing vouchers to are folks experiencing homelessness. Which we know that there are folks with IDD who also are experiencing homelessness. And so what we're actually seeing is more of the barrier is that the way they identify who's getting these vouchers who are homeless is through one database. It's called One Home. And in order to get into this database, you have to meet with someone in like the homeless service provider community organizations, those things like that. You come in, you sit down, you take a survey. They measure your, I guess, level of vulnerability to access these vouchers, and then they put you on a list, depending on how quote unquote more vulnerable you are. So things they measure are, you know, how big is your household size? How long you've been homeless, if you have a disability more generally. And then you're put on this list, and then when a voucher comes up, they call you and say, hey, you have a voucher. One of the problems is, for one thing, you have to know who to go to get access to that database. So if you have IDD and you're homeless, okay, at least maybe you find access to someone who can help you with that. If you are, say, living with an aging caregiver who you have housing now, but you know, who knows what will happen in the future, you can't even get access to that database. Another thing is when they're measuring disability, there's no connection to like the IDD waiver system. There's no way to say, hey, this person has an IDD, therefore they're quote unquote more vulnerable than someone who has another disability. And so you're just kind of pulled in as a general pocket, and then you get lost kind of in that list, and you don't get access to these vouchers, as we know is so crucially important for our community, right? And so this is a big problem with accessing vouchers, and it's again state regulated. And so our partners over at Broomfield Housing Alliance, they led this letter initiative where they wrote out all these problems about the voucher and then asked the community to sign on to it. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Inclusive Housing Coalition. It's a group of folks, organizations, people with lived experience who come together to talk about this stuff. And they corralled over 20 organizations to sign on to that letter, including Denver Human Services and including the city's Department of Housing Stability. So we were able to sign on that letter, and those are examples in which we can use our influence to advocate to the state in this way. And as we see those opportunities arise, we will certainly, you know, weigh and jump on board. As I heard last, there's been some conversations around this letter and some meetings with the state to see kind of what solutions there could be, and I'm certainly happy to like provide updates back here. So I know that was quite complicated, but that's where we're at with that recommendation. I think we can go on to the next, and then I'll leave some room for questions. So fast forward to 2024. If you look at the screen here, it speaks to the 2024 landlord and builder assessment recommendation. There are a total of 7, and for those of you that were here back in June, July, we had an organization called the Kelsey publish a report that really looked at perspectives of housing developers and landlords and property managers on their ability to feel empowered and equipped to create housing for people with IDD. The Kelsey came back with these 7 recommendations. You as council members formally adopted them as IDEAS recommendations in August. And so if you go to the next screen, I'm gonna read out 4 specifically that we've been focused on since August. And I'll kind of explain each one of them to the best of my ability, but the first one, increase availability of operating subsidies to support servicing projects. So this is really talking about using our funding to support housing projects or housing properties to offer supportive services on site. These would be additional services not typically covered by Medicaid waivers. These are services to help support that independent living. And these subsidies or these like costs to do this can be expensive, and there's not a lot of sources out there that offer this. So that was one recommendation. Number 2, create local funding incentives and enforcement to encourage housing builders to create accessible and affordable housing. So this is just the idea of what can we do to make it seem more enticing for housing builders to build housing that's not only affordable for people who will live there, but also have accessible features so you can live there comfortably and thrive in those apartments. 3rd, increase the availability and use of vouchers to support integrated housing. So it's very similar to what I just talked about, increasing the access to housing vouchers, and because we know many folks with IDD need financial assistance to be able to pay their rent. And that leads us to our 4th one, fund an IDD housing pilot project. And I think why I kind of group them all together like that is because like we don't want to offer funding to a housing project that doesn't incorporate all 3 of those things, right? Because in our minds, it's not going to be successful for our community. And so while 1, 2, and 3 are certainly like the meat of it, at the end of the day, I think our goal is to fund that IDD housing pilot project. That being said, we are Denver Human Services, so we don't typically work in this space, right? We provide services, we help folks navigate their benefits. However, we're lucky to have connections to the city's Department of Housing Stability, otherwise known as HOST. And they're the agency in Denver that really are the experts in all things housing. So they help folks who are experiencing homelessness get connected to services, but they also help folks who want to fund affordable housing and need additional dollars to do so. And they go through all of like the legal stuff, making sure fair housing rights are compliant, making sure they're underwriting, all of that specific stuff that we don't have the expertise to do, but we have them to partner on. So you go to the next slide. So we've been meeting with hosts roughly since August when y'all actualize those recommendations, and we're starting to build some energy around this idea of a partnership. I want to preface that this is planned, and as we know, like today, not everything goes as planned. So I say all of this with hope and excitement, and at any moment things could change, and if that's the case, I'll come back and let y'all know. But what we're thinking about doing is here at IDEAS, we would provide money to hosts and say, okay, you can give this money to a housing builder so long as they make sure, and we're involved every step of the way, but also that the services that they're providing on site are aligned with the needs of people with IDD. Additionally, the apartments that they are building give people with IDD sort of first dibs or first priority or access to those apartments. And then thirdly, that the features within the building are incorporating what we call inclusive design, accessible design, universal design, which can get, pretty detailed and pretty nuanced. And I think that's where it's important that IDEAS and perhaps the council be involved in that so that we can kind of look at what features are most important in a project like this, and then, what other ones may not necessarily be. And then, yeah, and then along the way, IDEAS is there, making sure at the end of the day, any money that we're giving to them is ultimately benefiting Denver residents with IDD, which is why we're here, and which is why we have an ordinance to comply with. And then this will be, you know, anywhere from identifying a project to the building of the project, and then once it's finally open and operating, we'll be there along the way as well. I'm pretty sure that was all I had to say about that. I think what I like most about this partnership is just that shared resources, shared expertise, because I think the reason why it's been so difficult to build housing that's inclusive of people with IDD is because these systems don't talk to each other, right? And so we're in a really cool opportunity where we can kind of be that bridge and make sure, you know, people with IDD's needs are being met alongside like complying with all of the detailed housing nuances that exist on their end too, and lean on each other for that. So
Yeah.
I will pause if there's any questions.
So Jordan, this is Michelle. Did I hear you say that we're gonna be building this fabulous 800 unit structure?
You know, that I 800s is pretty steep, but as much as we can. I think we're gonna, you know, it's hard to say what it will look like because developers are gonna be the ones to come to, I guess, host and say, this is how many units we wanna build. And then we kind of look at the funding that we have available to say, okay, like we can support you in these many units as well. And it can really depend, right? And there may be a give or take, like, well, we can only fund this many units, but it has so many expansive supportive services or the accessible design features are above and beyond. It has smart home tech, like all of these other things. And I think it'll depend on, you know, what projects come through the door and what ones we are needing.
So this is Michelle again, as a more serious question, is the relationship between the funding host and the developer a push or a pull? Meaning, is the host IDEAS going to, for example, put out in the public that we want like an RFP, or are developers going to say, hey, this is this way cool widget structure thing that I'm thinking we want to build? So is it a push or a pull at this point? What's the idea that host IDEAS is thinking, a push or a pull?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and Michaela and I have had a lot of time to really think about that, because I think we wanna incentivize people that are dedicated to this community and passionate about this work, and not just like filling people's gaps in their already housing that they're already finding.
Right.
And so I think certainly there'll be a moment where we're publicizing this out. And we already know that there's developers out there that are interested in building IUD housing, and they just don't have the funds or the support that they need to get it done. And so our goal is that by publicly announcing it in some level, we can attract those folks and let them know, like, hey, we're here to support you, and then they'll go to host, right? And then we'll kind of work together after that point. There may be times, I think, where it could be the other way around, where a developer goes to host and says, hey, like, I want to build IDD housing, and they don't know about us yet, and like, you know, that'll be a process too, and that's not excluding them either. But I think the goal is to make it known so that people feel more empowered to jump in.
And this is Michelle, and finally, one more thing, what I don't see is a mention of sustainability. I don't see any mention of, we're gonna build something now, but it needs to function in a certain way going forward. Are those conversations that you're having with hosts about, you know, we need to build something that is sustainable, we need to build something, for example, developers love to put all of the mechanical on top of the building, which means you can never pop the top and build up. And one of the things that is so, it blows my mind, is that when we talk about development, we don't realize that we're never developing enough, we're never building enough. So when we build these buildings initially, we allow a developer to say, oh, yep, I'm gonna put all the mechanical on top, and we cannot make more land. So I'm just wondering, and again, I don't see anything about sustainability, but are those a part, do you know if those are, you know, concessions or things that Post is thinking about, or that IDEAS, you guys?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I have noted it, so we can bring that back to host when we meet next. I do know that, again, what's so great about this host partnership is that they have other incentives outside of our incentives to encourage developers to build a certain way.
Okay.
Including like transit oriented, right? Like we don't want to build a project, you know, way away from resources and those types of things.
Right.
I'm not sure if they have like a green incentive or not, but I will check with our lady over there at Post Laura and see what she says about that.
And I think we're looking for the services provision of this projection to be in effect initially for probably a period of about 10 years.
Kind of 16
10 to
years.
15. So I think the balance is going to be ensuring that we have something that is sustainable into the future and yet is malleable enough that we can continue to change and adapt to what we learn, and kind of, instead of getting locked into one thing that we think is going to work now, and then we, you know, try it for a couple of years and we found out that there's a way to do it better, so that we can kind of adapt, and or, you know, if at the time, you know, that this contract expires, we feel like there would be another provider that may provide these services in a better way, that we are able to shift gears in that way. But to Jordan's point, I think that's a really important consideration, and so we'll definitely make note of that.
I have a quick question. There's mention about the units being affordable. And so, this could be premature, but are you thinking that these units would be, directly tied to a housing voucher? Or, is there other mechanisms that you're using to determine if it's affordable?
Great question. It will depend on the development, because typically when it comes to affordable housing, the developers are applying for tax credits and all these other things and different programs to make it affordable. I think at the end of the day, we want to fund what's called permanent supportive housing, which is people who have very low income, and those types of programming is usually attached to a housing voucher. That voucher would probably be attached to the apartment itself, and so anyone that moves in would receive that voucher automatically. If they wanted to move out one day, they would lose it. But there's other ways to get around that too, and it gets complicated, but yes, I think, long story short, we would ensure that they're
For those of you joining online, we just have Steph and joining in person, so we're taking a brief pause to welcome.
So sorry.
I will not, you were so hard. Okay, Steph, you got her. Thank you.
Well, let me take a moment to do this. Housing and the Denver economy, big issue. Housing and IDD, also a big issue. There's a lot of things going on. If you want to join me on this, I get to do something in person. If you want to put up 2 hands, this is for you, Jordan. Thank you. And all the menagerie of team of collaborations of people to be able to say what you just said. Thank you.
I think Alexa, you had your hand raised.
Oh, I can just ask a quick question. This is Alexa. To the third point on the host side, and maybe this is undecided, but when it says, you know, requiring on-site supported services, so is the idea that it's like contracted out, because I know a lot of what host does is they contract
Yeah.
with different agencies and organizations, so is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, sort of. I think how I understand it on host side is like a developer will come to them and they say they wanna fund supportive services, and then they work to identify a service provider. And they fill that out in the beginning, like at the very beginning of their plan for the project. And then obviously they have to apply it to host and get approval, and then they contract, not only do they sign a contract with the developer, but they sign a contract with the service provider as well. And so I think when you're thinking about supportive services, these would be things like, we would make sure folks living on site would still have their Medicaid waivers and receive the individualized services. These services would be like understanding your needs, like how to be a good tenant, how do I engage with my neighbors, what do I do if I have like a conflict, what if I lose my benefits, like those types of services, so that they have someone there like at all times to get that support. Yeah.
Which is another part of sustainability, Michelle. It's not just about ring lighting and stuff, it's about like case management, wraparound support services. And just helping somebody with a lease document or with a maintenance request. Excellent.
I think I saw two hands, Anne and
Is
Jessica.
that Jessica?
I was just gonna ask, like, what exactly does it mean by supportive services? And is it like gonna be like 24/7 availability, or is it
Great
gonna be
question.
more like service coordinators that are already hired by like subsidized housing buildings?
Yeah, I think the goal is that it's 24/7, even if it's just a concierge in the building that's available at any hour of the day to help someone. There will also be folks like who are hired by the property and work in the building to help folks in some of those things, like if I get locked out, who do I go to? How do I get help? I lost my mail key, or those types of things, or my Medicaid said I'm gonna lose my waiver, like those types of supports would be available on site at the property that you live in ultimately.
What about security?
Yeah, we've been thinking about that too. And you're right, I think we've heard it a lot that security may be a necessity, right? And making sure people stay safe. That I think we'll hash that out as we start to get more details of this work and kind of what's being proposed by developers. And, you know, if it means that we have to give a little extra dollars to ensure that security, I think we're willing to have that conversation as well.
That could be a part of the requirements.
We could, yeah, write that down and see what host says about that. I don't see why we couldn't make it a requirement. I think it comes down to the funding and what opportunities are getting from other sources too. Knowing that we'll only kind of fill the gaps of this work, but they should be going to other people and finding money other ways too. And so if there's a way that we can add security into the building with our dollars, I think we're willing to explore that. Yeah.
And I would say too, if there's something like security or sustainability that you think is really important for us to be thinking of, to make sure to let us know during these meetings, or send an email to Jordan or myself so we can log that, and maybe even schedule time for additional discussion. So that we can bring those into our working meetings with hosts.
So this is Michelle. Jessica, what you couldn't see was the auditor sitting in the back and he was nodding yes.
Okay, Tom
So-
says yes, so yes.
So we like that Tom back said to your comment, yes, we should be having security, so that's always good when the auditor says we should be having security, so. I noticed that.
Go ahead, Anne.
Thanks for your presentation. I wanted to add that supportive services, things like supportive services, security, safety, that applies to all people, not just people with IDDEAS. And so that's really how we it's important to think about it that way. I do have a question and maybe it's just, like talking about integrated housing and a pilot project to support, people with IDD. I'm making the assumption that these aren't segregated settings, that they're fully inclusive and natural support numbers or.
Definitely, I think we've heard it pretty clearly from you all that we want it to be inclusive, so it's a community where people live and without disabilities can reside. There's also like some fair housing laws around that and Olmsted and all of
And
these other
federal
things,
settings
and
rules,
yes,
yes,
exactly.
yeah.
And so, we certainly wouldn't wanna fund a building that's 100% filled with residents with IDD. Or
You're probably gonna
disability.
get housing
benefit.
vouchers then too.
Exactly.
But, and isn't, just one more quick thing, I know we need to break, but isn't, I've heard, what's her name? Kringle? The developer, I forget her name, Kimball, Kringle, yeah. Say that like when they built the Elizabetta, that they thought the vouchers were gonna be able to go to people with disabilities and it ended up being just homeless people that.
Yeah.
Were could be served and I think that's something that the housing authority, and I don't know if it's local or federal level that needs to be worked on to get more vouchers directly for people.
You're so right, and I think that speaks to that letter I was sharing earlier.
Okay.
The reason why Elizabeth and Stella became what it became was because of those policies. And I think we've gained a lot of headway around being able to work with what we have to, even if they don't change the policy, to promote access to the building for residents with IDD first and foremost. If you look at a property called the Valor on the Facts, they have a model where the building is provides services for people with brain injuries, and they've been able to work with the policies that they have to house people with brain injuries in those buildings without like any fair housing laws, while still like working within the
And they're probably at risk of
homeless rules.
homelessness, so.
Right, so
Yeah.
I think with conversations that we've had with hosts and at the state, I think it's possible to get there regardless of whether they respond to this letter or not. I think it's just how intentional we're being, especially from the very beginning, which is why like we're so lucky to have hosts in these moments and getting to developers early on before they build their plan and then say, oh, yeah, we'll include people with
Well,
IEP.
this is really exciting to get that you guys are working on this, really moving it forward, so. You got a lot of
This is Corey talking, I'm gonna interject myself, it's my final meeting, so I'm going to do that. We do have to kind of maybe move off of this topic. What I would ask is that if folks have further conversations, they reach out to Michaela first to perhaps discuss either for the future agenda items or discuss reaching out to Jordan if she's so inclined to talk about it more. But at this time, I think I'll curb the discussion. If we wouldn't mind taking a 5-minute break, that would be great, as long as that's okay with the chairs.
Thank you, 5.
Yep, you look like you had something to say, okay?
Nice to meet you in person.
Okay.
I give you a hug.
Okay. All right, you know what?
Yeah, I gotta go. I was like, I need to do this.
We're on break.
Chris.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Stephanie Gross out here.
Well,
Turn it
Yeah,
back
I'm
on
gonna-
the center.
Thought we couldn't use it
It's
anymore.
but I do like that, so there.
Yeah, I made it work, but it was going
The
down,
white cheddar.
so-
Yeah,
I
you
like
were
it.
home, you could have fine, I like your socks
Alright.
too.
Yeah, you have
Um,
everything.
You wanna-
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to,
Hey, Chris, let's go meet your mom out there.
Thank you, visitors and guests. We are corralling to come back. Thank you for your patience to join us, to click through all the clickables and to have your kind attention for Denver community and IDD. We're going to get started back in the next minute or two.
They're all done.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah.
all right.
Basage.
Yes, sorry.
Just the Hatton family.
I apologize, I'm gonna soak up every minute.
Big space between you and us, and then Michelle also, would you like to slide down here? Would you like to come help us brother out?
Like,
Oh, there you go.
Today or we? What did you think? Or we can't stay here for the meeting?
Would you like an elbow along the way
Oh, what did you think?
and or a hand? Very fun. Other napkin, who knew? We're upscale, man.
We just had it. Here. Oh, here it is. Here you go. Sorry.
There we go.
Okay, everyone, it is 2:26. I am gonna kind of just have folks come back in, obviously do what you need to do to get settled, or if you're heading out. There's no rush to find your seats, but we do gotta get going for the next agenda item. And as Jessica and Brian, you make your way over there, consider as our current chairs and interim co-chair. We went to Jordan's housing recommendation updates. We skipped over breathing and uncertainty as well as ideas scheduling. The final item that we had prior to public comments were some voices, mini grants, updates and announcements, which I would make. I'll leave it to you two to kind of select which agenda item you'd like to go for next. My one recommendation is out of those three, the voices updates can be made fairly quickly. And I wouldn't necessarily say cold, more importance or anything like that, but just if they get done now.
Okay. So welcome back to those online. And Jessica, what do you think? Voices, mini grants, brief update?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's do that.
You got it.
Reconvening at whatever the time is. 27 now.
2:27. All right. Hi, everyone. This is Corey speaking again. I am going to give a very brief announcement regarding our Voices mini grant awardees. And we actually, so I put these slides out of order, I apologize. Let me just give a little bit of a briefing. I know. Hi, Chris. Hi, Ann. Hey, CAL. Thanks for coming down.
See you later.
It's noted that we still have a quorum with everybody that's attending in person as well as Molly Mason attending virtually. So Voices are a mini grant program that we put together this year following a recommendation that the advisory council approved July of last year. The point of these mini grants are to award $50,000 up to $500,000 total to different innovative organizations or individuals who wanted to promote inclusion and intersectionality, empowerment and self-advocacy for Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And all of these are very different. All of the awardees that we selected are very, very different. They went through a review process to select them, and they all in different ways expand or create opportunities for Denver residents to engage and contribute to their respective communities. So we're very excited to work with them, very excited for these. First, we have the Atlantis Community Incorporation, who plan to, with the Voices funds, empower youth with intellectual and developmental disabilities as they transition into adulthood. The Autism Community Store, plans to provide a sensory bus and tent at different Denver community events to make them more sensory inclusive and accessible. Disability Law Colorado is planning to provide support and outreach to Denver residents with IDD in order to develop accessible resources and increase engagement on legal rights and advocacy. DHHA, which is Denver Health and Hospital Authority, they plan to expand access and empowerment for newcomer adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families who may have intellectual and developmental disabilities within the healthcare system here in Denver. Developmental FX plans to enhance wraparound services to promote expanded inclusion and harmony for children and their families. Guided by Humanity actually already performed this, but they are using their funds to help their inclusive fashion show, which helps people of varying disabilities, but mainly including those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That happened earlier in May.
Last week.
Yes, yes, that happened. So they're gonna get paid for that. Great. Revel plans to empower people with IDD here in Denver through music, which includes songwriting and music creation.
Hey.
Roots Colorado, more commonly known as Dirt Coffee, plans to provide employment and job support for people with IDD aged 16 to 65. So those who are looking for jobs and want some support there. And finally, the Wayfaring Band is hosting a series of events to specifically promote inclusion and intersectionality for people with IDD, including events centered around BIPOC communities, LGBTQIA communities, and another third type of event promoting social connections and advocacy.
I feel the need to point out that Chris was wearing a Wayfaring
It was
band.
very pertinent, yeah. So those are very, very simple, one sentence, high level descriptions of their programs. I'm going to let them speak more for each of those programs at future meetings. Now, I won't be reading them, Michaela and friends will. But we do, as requested by the council previously, we do plan to invite them, let them give a little plug on the things that they are doing with our funds to help inform you all, again, where these funds are being used and the kinds of work that's being done there. And we're very excited to work with you.
Let's give it up for the awardees.
That is really all that I had in terms of this announcement. I would turn it over to the chairs and the council if they want to discuss this anymore or return to any of our prior agenda items.
Questions, comments about Voices mini grants? It's already been said, we're gonna be inviting them to come back and share individually, so that's in the roster for the next year plus. What's the duration of the mini grants?
The mini grants are termed for 1 year, so they actually are termed from April of this year into the end of March 31st, 2026.
Okay.
And so we're only announcing them now. We have not yet executed. It's been a lot of work to get there, but we will be back paying anybody who has already started their work as of April into then. And that is when they're expected to wrap up and give us their final reports on everything that they did.
Cool. 9 awardees. We've got roughly another 10, 11 months to get to next March. So we'll see who we get to hear from. Great.
Yeah.
Other comments, questions? Voices mini grants? All right.
Wonderful.
So we've got public comment, which we didn't have anybody signed up for, and then we've got breathing and uncertainty. Did we have something else on the agenda?
Yep. Let me go back to the
scheduling
screen here.
Let's go to scheduling.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So
It is okay to breathe during the part of scheduling.
and to be uncertain too.
And to be uncertain. Just so we're gonna blend those a little bit.
Yeah, so this is Corey speaking again. We put this on the agenda as a way for the council to be able to discuss our upcoming meetings. There's a few topics, and I'll let you all discuss this, but just to kind of center this discussion. A few council members have requested that maybe we take a month off sometime this summer. where we don't have a meeting, and that's okay, because the bylaws require only actually 4 meetings, once per quarter. For the year, so skipping a month is quite all right, we usually have more work than that. To go down to the quarterly, but skipping a month is quite all right, so we can talk about when people would prefer to do that, if they would. But we don't have to, that's something that the council can decide. And then also we have the committee that was formed 2 meetings ago. Which I wanted to just give you all the floor. So Alexia, you're the only representative of that, right? And we don't want to say, I'm sorry, yeah, Michelle left. She knew this was, she knew this was coming. But so if you wanted to have a community discussion about when and where and how to do that, you are welcome to plug that into this now. One thing I'll say, while I still have the mic, is that in June, we do have a booked agenda. We would like Rocky Mountain Human Services to come, and we don't want to interrupt their planning for that. So June would be great to not skip, is my recommendation there. Because they're gonna come and give us some information on their various programs that they do, which is honestly exciting. Plus, we have other things to discuss there too. So July and onward, maybe we can discuss as something to skip. And then in person, also, it doesn't have to be a meeting, it can be a social gathering that is not public business. So I'll leave it to y'all.
Jessica, are we gonna go to scheduling regular meetings now, or are we gonna go to scheduling some in-person fun, the committee that was Alexa and Michelle?
I say scheduling the meetings.
Meetings over fun?
Business first.
Business first, you know? All right.
Get it done.
All right, so we are doing a meeting next month. And honoring that space for Rocky Mountain Human Services. Anyone want to voice something otherwise? About doing IDEAS Advisory Council meeting in June? There was a soft way to say, we are doing this unless you fight me. I didn't mean to put it that way. I didn't mean to put it that way. Yeah, who wants to go toe to toe?
Be brave.
That's, no. All right, so the other scheduling, so talking about July and forward. When, a question for Corey and Michaela, when we're talking about scheduling, there's some people I'd like to be at the table who aren't at the table now. Will they be at the table in August?
Oh, new members?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, I thought you meant the folks that were already here.
I mean, why talk about scheduling now when we're about to onboard some new voting members? Let's talk about scheduling with them, part of the conversation.
We're hoping that they'll be able to join us in June. That would be real.
If the lights stay on.
Why don't we table this then?
If the
Wi-Fi works.
Yeah, we may, it may be July. It really kind of depends on how we get their appointment letters processed and if we're able to find a time that all of them can meet.
Okay.
To do their onboarding between now and then,
So just to rewind, if you weren't quite on top of that, there are 4 new members that have interviewed and they're going to be joining the IDEAS Advisory Council. Stephanie, did you want to say something?
Yeah,
about
I personally think that July is a really tough time to even for families. August is a better time, everyone's getting ready for school. So if we were gonna take a time off, I would say July might be good, but I don't wanna break up the flow of new people coming, new members coming in June and then us not meeting again. So maybe we consider doing a social gathering that is off business, as you said, in July, if people are around, so that way we can build rapport with everyone. And maybe not have a meeting in July, that's just my take, but a motion for me to also. Maybe we table this till June to have a conversation with everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie. Lynn?
This is Lynn, if I may make a scheduling note. For people who are connected to Denver Public Schools, back to school is August 18th, and we also wanted to note that, what are the dates? The Alliance Summit, which I know a lot of those people are involved in, is August. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, August 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. So that will intersect with the regularly scheduled IAC in August.
And Molly, just for the note, this is Stephanie, everyone. Molly on the screen, put in the chat that she said August would be better to take off.
Then, thank you, I will copy that over.
Yeah, and we can always, just because we are typically scheduled the last Tuesday of every month, doesn't mean that we have to do that every last Tuesday. We can always push it a week up or back if we want to.
Okay.
But just so that you have that in the back of your minds when you're making recommendations for how you'd like to proceed with scheduling for the year.
Okay. What was that, Jessica?
I was gonna say, but the week before would be the start of school.
Oh,
So that'd be just as busy probably.
Yeah.
so what you're saying is that you're also thinking of the song Back to School from Greece? Is that what you? That's what I heard.
Now I hear it.
Now I hear it. This is being co-chair with me has its unique facets. So, I wonder if a reasonable way to proceed forward. I would like Stephanie used a nice phrase, she said, build rapport. I would like it if the new members didn't have to come to their first or second meeting and then be like, when do you want to schedule this thing? If that could just be a known thing, that they don't have to try to contribute or finagle it and stay as we are. And then after they've been to 2 meetings, then say, hey, what does going forward look for you ending out 2025 and going into 2026? Wow. So what are the thoughts about keeping it 6? I meant 6. Did I say 6?
No, yeah, you did. I was laughing.
I'm just like 2026. Is that really like we're talking about that? We are halfway there. So.
Breathe.
Not quite, not till the end of June.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Don't rush this.
There's so much you.
It's almost over.
Slow time down a little, please.
Thoughts on that, keeping our schedule as is, with the exception of we'll talk about a social, and we'll talk about a month off, but keeping the schedule as is, revisiting that in, would that be September, would give them 2 meetings at least, maybe up to 3.
So we're planning on holding business meetings in July and August for now, or possibly we're gonna revisit it?
Yeah, we'll come right back to that, but as far as scheduling the council, basically accepting Stephanie's suggestion of, let's table that, and then the timing for when to have that conversation, when we've got some new souls that say Tuesdays are not good for me, and now they're here to be a part of that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We weren't talking about that as we co-chair. Okay, what were we talking about, Jessica?
If we were gonna take a month off in the summer.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about
You're
it.
interpreting, this is something I think respectfully, you're interpreting scheduling, which is not wrong, as the day and time. And I think maybe other people might be considering, is it a month off or not? So that's
Got
all.
it. Those are both scheduled.
Those are both scheduling, so let's just make sure we're talking about oranges and oranges.
I've been looking for a new calendar for months and they don't have them. Do we need to talk about that? We don't need to talk about that. Apparently, I need to talk about that.
What I can propose is, I don't know, it'd be great if we can have the new members onboarded by our June meeting. It may not happen, and it may have to be in July, but what we can do is, we're definitely gonna meet in June. And so if they are with us at that point in time, I do actually think, I like Stephanie's idea of maybe doing like an optional gathering in July. It's just kind of social, no business meeting, unless something is happening with the housing work where we really need to consult with you all, or maybe get some additional recommendations. We might ask if there's folks that July time could work.
Okay.
And we can kind of just based on business need, reevaluate in June to say, do we need to meet in July and or August, or can we take those summer months off and kind of just touch base socially throughout that time? Does that sound all right with everybody?
Thoughts?
Sort of hold it on the calendar for now.
Yeah, keep it on the calendar for now and then revisit in June and see
What the need is and what the appetite is at that point.
I like that.
June, business as usual. July, a social. August, probably off. When I say a social, I mean a non-business, we can gather in community at one of these lovely venues that's doing awesome sauce. And September, picking up with our regular business. Yeah? Thoughts? Online?
Molly, did you have
Sounds
any
good.
thoughts?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm flexible and open to anything. This is Molly speaking. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Molly. This is
Alexa?
Alexa. I have a question. I guess I have a question for a social gathering. So if we think July works, or would we put one of, I forgot what that, like a Calendly or doodle form out to see like what works best for everyone, or would we schedule it on a Tuesday afternoon? Like we
Would you like my
normally schedule?
recommendations? on
I would
that?
love a recommendation. Yeah, like how does that work? Do you just pick a date and see who can
This
come?
is Corey speaking, so I've tried a lot of different things.
I'm sure you have.
Now I just pick a date and say be there.
There we swear.
Because it's just, it's scheduling, right?
It's hard.
It's no different than when I'm trying to like get my buddies together for a game night or something.
Yeah.
Getting multiple people in all in the same place is very difficult. A doodle pool has had limited success in the past. So you are welcome to try those, and you're welcome to engage in collaboration. My recommendation, where I've seen the most success, is put something on the calendar with enough time out that people can kind of rationalize how their schedule fits it, and then invite them to say yay or nay. And then if they say no, I'd rather this time, you get enough of those, then you know you can reschedule it if you need to. But my suggestion is to like get it out there, especially if you give people enough time, then that usually makes it easier for them. Okay, yeah, I can make that work if I've got like, you know, at least
Enough
3
time,
weeks or something to plan it.
We've done 2 social gatherings since I came on board a couple of years ago, and both times they were weekends, I think. Which we don't have to do weekends, we can look at evenings, or we can even look at business hours, but if you wanted to, Alexa, we could also like pull time in our schedule in June to say, not a doodle poll, but you know, who prefers weekends, who prefers weekday evenings, who prefers weekdays, and then we could just kind of see what the majority was, and you could pick a date. Roll from there if that was helpful.
Everybody has vastly different jobs.
Schedules
Day
and-
responsibilities,
yeah.
yeah, and sometimes weekends are easier, but sometimes they're harder, childcare, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's.
Yeah, I can email Michelle in between and
Yeah,
see if she has
that's
other
it.
thoughts.
For you folks to touch base with
Yeah,
me.
and then maybe like locations, this is Alexa again, location suggestions, I know Brewability, I wasn't able to make it, but it's fantastic, but there are other locations suggested, and then another question is, is the responsibility to like call and schedule like the venue?
I
Sort
would,
of say, hey, can we reserve 2 tables kind of thing, or is that,
it depends on the
Okay,
place, but
it's
it,
happy to help, just clarify.
yeah, so with you and Michelle being on the committee, you're welcome to kind of style this how you want. I would always just include Michaela in what you are planning and thinking, and that way you can obviously get her recommendations and everything, but then also you can just kind of keep everything above board with what you're doing. When it comes to like getting a bunch of people together in a place, it's always, in my opinion, just good practice just to be like, hey, this is a public space, but just so you know, we're gonna have like 10 people here or something like that. Is that okay? And you know, that way they can say like, oh, we already have another like party of 30, so don't come that day, kind of thing.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, if you obviously go like to a park, you don't even call that it. Brewability, like it's nice to kind of just, hey, just ahead.
Just grab a,
Mhm.
great.
Guided by Humanity has a address right across the street from them. Just heads up,
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
literally walking.
Yeah, Mary would probably love to like say hi to folks and stuff. as long as it's all kept social. Non-business related.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Right,
Yep.
there's a lot of cool places to go, so,
Yeah,
ice
cream. Perfect for the summer, yes. I love it.
Yeah. Does that give you all the information?
Yes.
Okay.
Then, do we wanna do?
do you want anything from us as you're transitioning to the council secretary role?
Help.
I need somebody.
I'll just forecast next meeting for you all, so we're going to invite Rocky Human Services to come. They'll have, except for kind of our standard business items, most of the 2 hours, so they'll be presenting on their RMHS START program for folks who have ID and mental health needs. They'll be providing their annual update on that. We'll also hear from some folks responding to y'all's request to learn more about the determination process and the paperwork and get some clarity on that. And also provide an overview of all the waivers available to folks with IDD. And then we'll also be hearing from Kisley's colleague Addie, who is over the CCP mill levy program. This primarily does a lot of the individual requests or mill levy support plans that some of you may be available. Also community initiatives, which is something that Kisley has leadership in, and so they'll kind of provide an overview of how we program mill levy dollars through Rocky Mountain Human Services to meet those unmet needs and fill in the service gaps.
And I sure hope our new people can be here for that. Like
Yeah.
that is
It's pretty critical.
foundation understanding. I mean, it'll also blow their hair back, but that's all right.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah, let's start with scaring who.
I think it's that, did we hit it all?
We have hit
I think you
it
did.
all. The only thing that we didn't do was breathe uncertainty.
Didn't agree.
We had some uncertainty around special.
Yes, we did.
It's
And
uncertainty
we
on technology.
breathed. I took a lot of breaths throughout this whole thing. But yes, so yeah, our next meeting is June 24th. I believe it will be virtual, purely virtual, right? So purely virtual. So as a reminder to everybody here, just please be sure, just in case I didn't hit any of my artifacts of just leftovers of old meeting invites and stuff like that, be sure to just pay attention to Michaela's emails from now on.
Yeah.
With the new registration links and new meeting links, all that kind of stuff. I think that everything on our site is fully up to date. If any of it isn't, please also let Michaela know ASAP. Molly, I know that you had some trouble getting into a link. I do believe that that was the old link. So there is a chance that that old link is floating around somewhere and it'll just bring you to an error page. So if you see that, let us know and we'll try to make sure that you have everything you need to get in and all of that. Aside from that, y'all are in good hands. It'll be smooth sailing. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is
Corey.
Stephanie speaking. Thank you, Corey. You have held us together and with such grace and everything, and I really appreciate everything you've done.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
It's great. Well, it was nice having everybody in the room. So that was, thanks for all coming and just doing.
And there's part.
There's a party. Yeah, so if anybody's able to stay, stay.
Is it a party open to the whole organization or is it just?
So our FSD colleagues will be there as well. We would love you all to join us as our guests. And Molly, I don't know if you would be able to join us as well, I think you might try and stop by.
Hi, unfortunately, my dog is really sick, so I'm home and not able to sit. So I'm sorry, guys, but Corey, I sent you the email and I just really want to, this is Molly speaking, echoing everything and just really appreciate you and wishing you the best in your next steps.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Well said, Molly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy we were able to have a hybrid meeting for Corey's last meeting and huge hats off to them. This was a huge feat. It took all day, network patches and everything.
Right, they wanted to make it hard.
It was an act of magic, so thank you so much, Corey.
Yeah.
With that, chairs, y'all wanna?
Would you like to entertain a motion that we tap dance. No, how about closing the meeting instead? Yeah. We're gonna holler that out.
This is Jessica, and I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we're gonna like a second.
We will take those.
And
there, everybody.
yes.
Meeting is adjourned at 2:54 PM.
We ended.